Okay.
Good evening, one and all present here. I, Akshata Mankar, interning with the Nature's Eye, welcome you all for our today's free webinar session of Environmental Management System Role in Sustainable Business Practices. Before we proceed, I would like to introduce my team members present here, Anand Kumar Patra and Vaishnavi Surve. The Nature's Eye, powered by Wildlife Arc, is a group of nature's enthusiasts who wish to share their knowledge and experience with the world. They strive to bring informative and educational content from the tiny living world to the city dwellers. Their motto is to empower environmentalists by creating opportunities not only for budding environmentalists but also the people related to this field, and also the ones who want to join in through their various online and offline programs. The Nature's Eye works on the bridging ecology and economy. We highly appreciate working with ecology and nature enthusiasts who wish to bring change by spreading awareness. This workshop is one such attempt within the training and internship program which we are part of. There are a number of such events in the line as well. Now, coming towards today's event, we have among with us our speaker, Dr. Shraddha Kulkarni ma'am, working as assistant professor at Department of Environmental Science in Ferguson College, Pune. Before I hand over the session to our speaker, I request all the participants to keep themselves muted. If you have any queries, please type it down in the chat box. We will take up all the questions by the end of our today's session. Thank you once again, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Akshita. Am I audible? Uh, can you hear me, Akshata?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, welcome one on all. This is the event, which is a kind of introduction to our upcoming event related to environmental management systems, role in sustainable business management. So, what is environmental management system? Why it is necessary, and who will do this particular management of environment, whether management of environment is really possible, can we really manage this particular open system or not. uh, all these questions we have to answer with the help of this particular uh, course, where we are going to learn lot of tools, lot of techniques which are used for this environmental management system. So what is covered in environmental management system? What is the meaning? What are the steps? What are the benefits? Which are the tools for this? So that we are going to discuss. How this particular management is connected with sustainable development. So, what is sustainable development? It is the long-term development, which is a socio-economic development which deals with the need of the current generation, compromising without compromising the needs of future generation to fulfill their own needs. So we have to consider the current needs also and future needs also. And when we think about development, we cannot ignore this economic component or the business component of this assessment. So we are going to discuss what is the sustainable business values, how we can check the employer's role in this, how the consumers are connected with this particular sustainability chain, what is the role of investors or governments or the customer in this particular assessment, what is the ESG criteria in sustainable uh, business assessment and the sustainable investment, and what is the role of each and every party who is connected with a particular economic assessment, economic development, for safeguarding our planet for our future. Yes, we have to also learn the steps which are related to this particular uh, sustainable development, specifically the environmental management system. So, how to identify uh, the boundaries or the system of the environmental management, how to identify the aspect is a part which is connected with the organization's process. So any element which has ability to interact with environment, that is the environmental aspect. So that interaction can be positive interaction, it can be negative interaction, that you have to uh, that you have to identify. So identification of environmental aspects. Depending upon the aspect identification, we have to set up a policy, environmental policy of the organization. So it may be related to water conservation, it may be related to waste management, it may be related to energy efficiency or any other parameter which is more connected to organization's process, product, and activities. Once we decide the policy or a kind of goal for the organization, then we have to define an action plan and implement environmental management system. So these steps we are going to discuss in this particular course, how policies are framed, what are the important clauses of planning, how what is the meaning of implementation when it comes to the internal assessment or the review. So what is the meaning of the checking, so that all these elements we have to discuss. So steps for effective environmental management system, effective implementation. The base of everything is all these environmental management system processes for achieving the sustainability in any project, product, or process. So it can be any business activity, it can be any socio-economic activity. We have to uh, uh, frame a chain which will work for the longer duration. So that is PDCA. PDCA is what? Plan, do, check, and act. So you have to plan your activities, you have to plan your aspects, objectives, and targets. Then how you will implement that particular part, that is a planning, and everything up to planning component, it is on the paper. Then you have to actually implement. So it can be operations, it can be documentation, it can be training, it can be awareness related activities, it can be your operation and maintenance. So everything in the do. Then you have to do the regular checking or internal monitoring, similar like your internal exams in the institute. So where you have to do the internal audits, uh, check whether we are on the right track or not. If we are on the right track, we have to move ahead in the same direction. Otherwise, we have to take corrective actions and then move for the next step. So acting for the next level, acting for the final assessment. So in this particular environmental management system, it is expected that it is not like we are at the zero level and directly we are reaching to the level 60, level 80. It is like a stepwise improvement. Whenever we are at the second step, third step, it is expected we are maintaining our primary level, or we are maintaining the things which we have implemented for the management of particular resource. So that is the meaning of plan, do, check, and act cycle. So what exactly we are going to cover in this environmental management system? So first thing, the base of this is the important standard, that is ISO 14001 2015 standard. We are going to discuss in detail how the management system works, what is the structure, what is the governance structure, how the responsibilities are defined, how the clauses are formed. So right from the policy framing to implementation, internal assessment, and then the management review. So that is the first tool of the uh, environmental management system. The part of this, that is environmental audit, so that we are going to discuss. It is also the requirement under Rule 14 of Environment Protection Act 1986. So we are going to discuss that also, environmental auditing. Then another, the notification under EPA, that is Environment Protection Act 1986, that is environmental impact assessment. It is another tool of environmental management system. On a similar line, we have to also uh, discuss the things which are related to life cycle of a product, how the circular economy is playing important role in managing the system, what is the meaning and importance of cleaner production. So all these elements we have to discuss in this particular course. So what is ISO? ISO is International Organization for Standardization, and this 14,001, there are different numbers. We need to remember three numbers: 9,000, 14,000, and 45,000. So 9,000 deals with quality, 14,000 is a environment family, and 45,000 is, earlier the number was 18,000, that is occupational health and safety. So all three are connected with environment. So at least we need to remember these numbers. 14,001 is one part or one subject under 14,000 family. When this particular number is complete, uh, that is a family. 14,000 is a environment family, and 14,001 is one part of that family, that is environmental management system. So this is international certification for environment management system. We have to remember this ISO is non-government organization. It is NGO. So there is no compulsion on any organization to go for this certification, but uh, you are getting a lot of market benefit when you implement international standard, when you go for international certification process. It is third party certification. Third party certification means whenever your own organization is assessing you, that is first party certification. Whenever your customers, they are doing some kind of auditing for you, or they are giving some feedbacks, they are giving some review, that is second party certification or second party audit. And whenever the third party who is not connected with your day to day activity, whenever they are doing some assessment for you, that is third party certification. So all the 14,000 standard, they are this third party certification. Now this is the EMS is the only standard 14,001 is the only standard where you can go for the certification. But there are many other numbers, many other elements which are providing information for different issues. The guidelines are provided for life cycle analysis, for circular economy, for eco-labeling. So 14,040 that deals with life cycle analysis, but that is a guideline which we need to follow. So what is EMS? EMS is a part of management system of the organization. Similar like your human resource like HR or the quality management system or quality control production unit. Similar like that, environmental management system, it is a part of management system of the organization where that particular team or that particular part of the system, it looks for environmental policy, environmental objectives, how we can implement this thing for effective resource management. So all those particular management and operation related part, it is handled by the environment management system of the organization. Okay. Then the next tool, it is environmental audit. So generally there are three main steps which we have to remember. These are the 5 steps which you can see in this particular uh, diagram. I hope uh, this particular slide is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so you can see the 5 steps in this particular circle. Uh, so you have to plan the audit, you have to prepare for the audit, then you have to conduct the audit, develop the audit report, and you have to do the follow-up activity. Apart from this, you can remember 3 easy steps like pre-audit activity, on-site activity, and post-audit activity. So first two number uh, this step 1 and step 2, this is a pre-audit activity. Step 3 and the part of step 4, it is on-site part where you have to actually conduct the audit, you have to collect the information and prepare the draft report, and then preparation of final report and taking the follow-up activity, it is a part of post-audit activity. There are different types of audit which are defined in the system, like it may be for a particular process, it may be for the compliance. The meaning of compliance is fulfillment of a requirement. So it can be any kind of requirement. It may be related to waste management, it may be related to water treatment, it may be related to your energy assessment. So any type of compliance. So the compliance audit, it may be health and safety audit. Of course, it may be process specific or it may be some product specific. And then audit can be energy component, it can be water and wastewater, it can be liabilities of the organization where you need to conduct auditing. So there are various types of audit, and this is also a part of a tool by which we can able to um, manage our system. So what is the meaning of tool? Um, Suppose if I want to communicate some information to my students or to my audience. So the way by which we are interacting this particular Zoom meeting, this is one of the tool by which I am communicating the information. I am transforming information from one point to another point. So this PowerPoint presentation is giving you the slides, they are giving you some kind of idea about this thing. So this is one of the tool. Suppose if I prepare a description and some notes for this, and if the if she circulates those particular notes, so that is another way of, that is another tool for communicating the information. Um, Suppose instead of this, if we are preparing some handouts and suppose hard copy is circulated, so that is another tool. So tool means the objective is same. We want to communicate the information, but we are using different medium for that. Similarly, for managing our environmental system, so for particular industry, for particular organization, for managing that particular thing, um, implementation of 14,001, conducting the environmental audit, or all other steps, these are the tools by which we can able to manage the system, and then we can move towards the sustainable practices. I hope everyone is getting. Then the another tool is environmental impact assessment, that is EIA. This we are going to discuss with the guidelines which are defined in Environment Protection Act. Yeah, this is the notification under EPA 1986, 1994 notification. That was the original. And then there are many amendments which are done in this notification. So we are going to discuss the current one. Just for understanding what is EI, whenever you want to start any new project, so for that you need to check the impact, whether the developmental activity which you are doing, it is going to show some impact on environment, whether that impact is positive impact or negative impact. Impact is what? Any change which is occurring because of aspect. Aspect is what? Aspect is any element of organization's process, product, or services which has ability to interact with environment. So that interaction can be positive interaction or it can be negative interaction. So you can able to identify the aspect of your process, and whenever any change is observed, so that change is impact, and this is the tool by which we have to monitor that particular change. So whether the change has happened, whether it is positive change, whether it is negative change, so that particular thing we have to monitor. Identification also, monitoring also, and measurement also, there are three steps. So this particular EI, it is conducted in three different component before the project. Whenever the project it is in the construction phase, and whenever the project it is in operation phase. So before the project to start, whenever the project is actually happening, so all the stages we have to consider. So for this, the screening is done whether your project it requires the um, impact assessment, the detailed impact assessment. What is the scope for the assessment? Then which are the methods? Like whether you need a water data, whether you need a biodiversity data, whether you need a plant data, whether the socio-economic survey is required. So all those things are defined at the scoping level. Whenever the change is happening, what kind of precautions you are taking or the mitigation measures that you have to define. So who is doing this? Environmentalists, they are doing it for the organization. So it may be any non-governmental organization, it can be the students, it can be the any party who is well equipped for the skill in conducting the information, data collection, data monitoring and assessment, classification and assessment. So they can do this particular project for the activity for the organization, for any industry, or whenever any residential complex is coming, or whenever the airport project is it is applied, or for the highway construction, or you must have seen if you just google the Pune metro. So for that also EIA report you can able to check. So there are a lot of studies which are conducted for this developmental activity. So what are the mitigation measures? Then what is the role or the view of the public? That also you have to consider the public hearing process. There are different ways of conducting this public hearing. Then the view of the party who is implementing, then the public view and the environmentalist. From that, the decision is taken. There are different authorities who are working at the state level and at the central authority level, Central Pollution Control Board, and then the implementation it is done. Clearance is given, EC, environmental clearance is given for the project. Okay, and sometime this EC it is with condition, or sometime it is without condition. So it depends upon what kind of impact your project is causing. So depending upon that, uh, the clearance notification is done. It is given. Yes. Then the another tool of this environmental management system, that is LCA, life cycle analysis, according to the ISO 14040 to 44. So these five elements, five different there are guidelines for these different steps. You can see the diagram for defining the goal and scope of your process. Then for preparing the inventory, for preparing for doing the impact assessment, and then for the overall application or for overall management, there are different guidelines which are provided in 14040, 14041, like this. So what is life cycle analysis? Just imagine uh, any product. Just imagine the screen which you are using. Suppose it may be a laptop or it may be a mobile phone. So for manufacturing mobile phone, what is required? So there are a lot of raw materials which are involved in manufacturing of uh, your mobile. So it may be the fiber, it may be some metals. There are some electronic elements which are involved: screen, camera, sound. So for every element, there are some raw materials which are required. So from where those raw materials are coming? It is coming from the various natural resources. Then what the organization is doing? They are processing this particular thing. Imagine any brand, like it may be Samsung or it may be uh, any brand which is using, or Lenovo, or the HP, who is using this particular resources, and then according to the product they are processing these raw materials. After that, the product get manufactured and then it goes to the market for the distribution. So a particular local dealer, from that we take that particular product. Now just imagine when we purchase any electronic device, a laptop or a mobile. So whenever we use it for a particular day or so, so every day we need to charge that particular device for better use. So whenever you are using that particular product, you need to, I mean, energy consumption it is there. You need to charge the battery and then only you can able to use that particular device. So just imagine a life of that particular product at the user phase. So suppose for just for understanding, suppose for 5 years we are using a particular, no, nobody use the device for such a long duration nowadays, but just for understanding, suppose if we use it for 5 years and every day we are charging that particular thing, so energy it is required for that. So just calculate the number of days for those many use you need to the energy is required for that. So these are, and you need to consider that under inventory. So energy it is there for every use. Then after 5 years, suppose the product it is not, you cannot use that particular thing. So what will happen to that particular thing? So what is the end of life treatment? Whether the distributor is taking the responsibility, whether the manufacturer is taking the responsibility, or is there any organization who is treating that particular electronic waste? So when we consider all these phases, uh, of a particular product, that is called as life cycle assessment. So here we need to define the goal. Goal means what? Whether we are considering only this particular phase like raw material, material processing and manufacturing, whether we are considering only consumer phase or the customer phase, or whether we are considering only distribution phase, or we are considering entire cycle. So that the organization need to decide which phases we are going to consider for this LCA analysis. Once you decide, like we are going to consider only industry phase, that is called as gate to gate analysis. So from industry gate to customer gate. Suppose if we are considering only that, so for that, for these many steps, which are the resources which are required, what are the aspect and associated impact. Now this particular impact assessment, it is different than EIA. Here you have to do the classification of this impact, ranking is done, the local impact and global impact, then the global scoring also you have to do, and then you have to uh, check the overall application or the assessment, like how this particular aspect impact data is used for overall impact management. Okay, so that is the life cycle assessment. Life cycle means you have to consider the overall cycle of that particular product from its cradle to grave. So from its origin to the final element. After that, whenever the processing or management is not possible. So from nature to the end element up to the natural element, that whenever the resource they are going again back to the nature. So up to that level we have to check. Okay. Now you must have observed this. There is a gap between this thing, end of life to this raw material extraction. When we try to connect this particular gap, that is nothing but the circular economy. Circular economy is what? Here the LCA is, it is a base. You need to conduct LCA, and after that you have to check where we can uh, use that particular element again and again for various uses. So first time use, second time use, third time use of a particular component for better use, or you have to increase the length or the duration of that particular resource. Okay, so circular economy, you have to again consider the production, distribution, consumption, and then reuse, repair, recycle, and then how the recycling, it is again connected with the production part, that you have to check. Okay, so we have to complete that particular cycle. So why it is economy? Circular economy means whenever you are using any metals, whenever you are using any fiber or any other element which is required to manufacture your laptop or mobile. So that particular, there is a economic value to all the resources. Economic value it is there for the production unit also, for the distribution also. So it is not just the resource cycle, but it is the economy also which is involved in all these processes. So that particular part we have to check, and then we have to work on how efficiently we can improve that particular cycle, how efficiently we can collect the resources, like how we can extract the um, uh, material from the waste. It may be metals, it may be the part which we can recycle efficiently. So that particular thing. So whether it may be related to materials, it may be related to designing, it may be related to efficient use of the process or the recycling element. So all those things we have to learn. So this is just the, I mean, the introduction of the concept. We have to learn this thing in detail. Then another tool which is connected to this management system, that is cleaner production. So this is specifically related to industrial processes or within the organization. So within the organization, what we can do for the cleaner production. So it may be related to source reduction, it may be related to recycling, it may be related to product modification. So it is related to the housekeeping practices or the process related, or it can be recovery related element. And then in detail, like when we are saying we have to reduce our footprint, so how we can able to reduce the footprint with the help of various elements. So it may be use of better raw material, it may be better extraction process, it may be better handling, it may be efficient, I mean checking the efficiency of your instruments, it may be using a specific technology which will consume the less resources, and where we can use the resource for a in a better manner. Okay, so there are various steps, like you have to plan the things, you have to do the assessment, and then you have to define the phase, then whether the options which you are selecting, whether that is feasible or not, and then you have to implement. So cleaner production, it is again connected with your um, circular economy. So once we have a data set for a life cycle of a product, and when we can able to connect those particular links, we can think about the option for the cleaner production. Okay, so from where we are moving, these are the steps, like the tools which are used for the environmental management system. Now, why we are learning this particular thing? Ultimately, we have to, uh, yes, so first I'll take this and then we'll move to this particular slide. So why we are learning this environmental management system tools? Ultimately, we want sustainability. So there are SDGs which are connected to the environmental element, SDGs which are connected to the social element, SDGs which are connected to economic element. So when we are saying so sustainable development is socio-economic development. So you cannot ignore the human factor, you cannot ignore the economy factor whenever you are considering the environmental management system. So for this resource utilization, for the energy, for the waste management, for the carbon element, for the biodiversity, um, so for every element, whenever we want the sustainability at each and every level, we have to manage that particular resource. Okay, so how these SDGs they are connected to this, how the sustainability it is there in the business practices. So that part we have to understand with the help of the tools which we have discussed just now. Then from when once we implement all these things, what are the benefits? So there are three levels of the benefit. First is what are the benefits to the organization? What are the benefits to the society? What are the benefits to the environment that we have to discuss? So it is social factor, it is economic factor and environmental factor. So at three levels, so whenever the organization is managing, just imagine a water resource, whenever they are effectively treating their waste, so ultimately they are reducing the penalties on the water pollution and other element. Whenever they are implementing the circular economy or the cleaner production, the resource get used maximum time a particular thing. So you are efficiently using that particular resource and to its highest efficiency. So the requirements are also going to reduce. It is going to help uh, to the economic factor of the organization. When it is benefiting the organization, ultimately it is helping the society to grow, society to use that particular product in an efficient manner, and ultimately we are helping the planet for conserving or for a better use of that particular resource. So there are many benefits which are related to each and every tool of this particular thing. So now why we have to discuss this particular thing, or why we have to learn this particular thing? Ultimately, uh, we have to use this particular thing in practice. Okay, so just reading or just understanding is not important. Implementation is more important. So if you choose a career in this particular sector, so that will help more to the organization also, to you also as an individual, to grow in this sector, and ultimately to environment. So there are various prospectus of this particular environment management, where you can learn the skill of the technical skills related to any of this particular resource. It can be the air quality, it can be water quality, it can be solid waste, it can be energy, it can be ecology. So it may be plant, it may be insects, it may be birds, or any other factor which is connected to the impact assessment component. Then once you understand the technical skill of the resource collection, resource analysis, and the documentation process, it is used for the implementation. So you can act as a freelancer for the impact assessment. You can work with any organization for implementing the things. You can also work as an internal auditor. You can also work in this particular certification process, the 14,000 certification process. You can always go for the research activities which are related to this, and you can start your own startup, or the activities which are related to this environmental resource monitoring. It may be related to any sector, like it can be, I mean, imagine any element which may not be written here, but you can imagine any other component from the environment. No, so it may be related to soil, it may be air, specific element in the air component, like particulate material or carbon or any other thing. It may be something related to energy, it may be something related to ozone depletion, or like managing that particular thing, or it may be related to transportation, it may be related to plastic management, or any other type of waste management. It may be related to any type of ecosystem, it may be terrestrial or aquatic ecosystem. So everywhere this management is required. So it is not like it is specifically only for a particular industry, but there are a lot of activity, because whenever the industrial processes they are done, they need a resource. So, and that particular resource is coming from the nature. So for that you need a knowledge and skill um, for observation, for data collection, for interpretation also, like what is the meaning of that particular information which you have collected. Okay, so that's it for this introduction. Um, if you have any specific question, we can take. I think uh, there is one question which was communicated to me, something related to uh, a method of converting plastic into sustainable fuel. So whether it is there and whether it is implemented in India or not. So yes, the processes they are there for conversion of plastic into fuel. It is there. Uh, Mass scale implementation, it is not there in India. Okay. What may be the reason? There are a lot of pilot activities which are done. There are some plants also in Maharashtra also. There are few plants which are operated for this. Uh, but whenever you are converting this uh, plastic into fuel, or imagine any other element, any other waste material which you are converting again for the energy use. So for that you need that element in its pure form. okay, or at least a specific type of uh, uh, a specific grade of that particular plastic. Like just imagine plastic bottle, the grade is different. Plastic sheet, grade is different. The polythene bags, which you must have seen, so the grade of that plastic, the type of plastic is different. If you just mix that and then process, so the process or the fuel which get generated, that is not a very economically feasible practice. For that, the segregation is important. And suppose if you are getting a similar type of waste, like all the plastic bottles only, or a similar type of waste, then comparatively it is possible to implement that particular thing. Which type of plastic you are getting, uh, that decides the process of a conversion. Okay, if the energy requirement of the processing is more, then the cost of the fuel is also going to increase. If the process is more efficient, then the cost is comparatively less. Yes. Any other question? So shall I stop sharing the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
I think we have covered all the questions. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an insightful session. It is a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to all who have helped in making this webinar successful. On behalf of the Nature Sci, I would like to thank you, our distinguished speaker, Dr. Shraddha Kulkarni, ma'am, for the excellent and meaningful session. We have some announcements for the participants, so I request you to please stay for a few more minutes. I would like to announce a special discount offer for all our participants. You can register for our main event at just rupees 449 only. This offer will be valid up to 30th April 2024. Our main event will be on 19th and 20th May. I assure you, in that event, you will learn practical aspects, explore job opportunities related to environment management system, and will receive e-certificates. And if you have any queries, please contact us on email and WhatsApp. I will share you all the details on our WhatsApp group. Once again, I would like to thank all of you for joining us. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again. Good night. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.